The moment I stepped out of my truck, she came marching toward me like she owned the whole world. No greeting, no pause. Just pure rage. "You can't be here!" she shouted, waving a clipboard in my face. "This lake is under HOA control, and outsiders are not allowed to step on the shoreline." I almost laughed because I hadn't even finished unloading my fishing gear. "Ma'am, I live here," I said calmly. "Just moved in yesterday." She leaned in closer, eyes sharp like she wanted to bite. "Impossible. Nobody moves here without my approval. And this lake," she tapped the ground with her shoe, "belongs to the HOA, so pack up your things and go back where you came from." For a second, I thought she was joking. Then I saw the fake badge pinned to her shirt. She actually made herself a badge. I took a slow breath. "I bought the shoreline with the property," I said. "The entire curve of the lake. All of it." Her face froze. Then it twisted. "No, you bought a house. The lake belongs to me," she hissed, like she had personally created it with her bare hands. Before I could reply, she pulled out a bright yellow paper and slapped it on my truck window. "Violation notice. First warning, if you touch the water again, I'll have your property removed." "My property removed?" I repeated. "How does that even make sense?" "It makes sense to people who follow the rules," she snapped. "And trust me, you don't want to make me angry. I run this place." I stayed quiet, because I felt something dark uncoil inside me, something she didn't know about, something she would regret waking up. She pointed at the lake like she was casting a spell. "This shoreline is HOA land. Step on it again, and I'll get you arrested." I looked at her, steady and calm. "You're threatening the wrong man." For the first time, she hesitated. Just a flicker. But she covered it fast and stormed away, still muttering rules she invented 5 seconds ago. I watched her leave, then looked at the yellow notice stuck on my window. A fake HOA violation. Day 1 in my new home, and she had already crossed the line. She had no idea what I really owned, and absolutely no idea who I really was. I had barely finished taking that fake notice off my truck when her voice echoed. Again, this time from across the lake. She was standing on her porch with a megaphone. A megaphone! Like she was running a military base. "You are trespassing on restricted property," she yelled. "Step away from the water or face legal action." I stared at her, trying to understand if she was serious or if someone had dared her to act like this. "Ma'am," I shouted back, "I own this shoreline. Every inch of it." She lowered the megaphone, narrowed her eyes, and smiled. A slow, cold smile that told me she was planning something worse. 5 minutes later, a tow truck rolled up to my driveway. I walked toward it, confused. "Can I help you?" The driver avoided eye contact. "Sorry, man. HOA said your truck is blocking lake access. They ordered it removed." "I'm parked in my own driveway." He sighed. "Look, she said you're new and don't know the rules. She also said you cursed at her. Honestly, she threatened to fine me if I didn't tow it." My jaw tightened. So she was lying now. She wasn't just a bossy neighbor, she was dangerous. "Hold on," I said. "Let me talk to her." He raised both hands. "Dude, trust me. I don't want trouble. I've dealt with this lady before. She scares the hell out of everyone." Before I could answer, she appeared again, marching toward us with another paper in her hand. "Tow it," she ordered. "He's violating community regulations, and he refused to sign my notice. That's an automatic removal." "Your notice is fake," I said. "This isn't an HOA neighborhood. And even if it was, you're not part of any board." She laughed like I told a joke she hated. "Oh, honey." I created the board. The tow truck started backing closer to my vehicle. I stepped forward. "Touch my truck and you'll regret it." She folded her arms. "Is that a threat?" "No," I said quietly. "That's a promise." She didn't know. She didn't know my background. She didn't know the one thing that kept me calm whenever someone tried to push me around. My wife. She trained SWAT teams before we lost her, and everything she taught me came flooding back. I pulled out my phone and opened the document she hoped didn't exist. The original property deed, with my landline highlighted. Her eyes flickered again just for a heartbeat, but she still forced a smile. "Fake document. Anyone can print papers." The tow truck kept reversing until the driver saw something behind me that made him freeze. Not my truck, not the lake, but the tall metal post standing in the grass, my private security pole, the one with the hidden cameras and a motion alarm. He swallowed hard. Ma'am, he's got surveillance running. This could get messy. She shot him a glare. Do your job! That's when my phone buzzed. A notification from my security system. Motion detected. Unauthorized person tampering with property. And the screen showed her face. Her jaw tightened. She finally realized she wasn't dealing with a clueless newcomer. I had receipts. I had footage. And I wasn't backing down. But she wasn't done yet. You think that scares me? She said, stepping closer. You haven't seen what I can do. She walked away calmly. Too calmly. The driver leaned toward me. Sir, she just made a call. Whoever she called sounded like cops. I knew exactly what she was planning. And I knew she had no idea that in this town, I was the real law. The tow truck rolled out of my driveway the second he realized who she was messing with. He didn't say a word, just nodded at me and drove off. Like he was escaping a crime scene, but she didn't leave. She stood at the end of the street with her phone pressed to her ear, pacing back and forth, whispering fast and angry. Every few seconds she'd glance toward my house like she was checking if I was watching. I didn't move. I just waited. After a minute, she raised her voice on purpose, making sure I heard. Yeah, he's aggressive. Yes, he threatened me. Yes, he's trespassing on community property. Yes, send the officers. She hung up slowly, smiling like she had already won. You have about 5 minutes, she said, brushing imaginary dust off her shirt. So if you want to run, now's the time. I stepped closer. You just called fake cops, didn't you? She blinked, once, twice. Then she smirked. Who said anything about fake? But she looked nervous. Her eyes kept darting to the street. She wasn't sure they'd actually come. I kept watching her, and that made her panic even more. She started adjusting her hair, straightening her badge, rehearsing the lines she'd feed them. She wanted to look like the hero in her own little story. She pointed a finger at me. When they get here, stay quiet. It'll look better for you. Better for me? I repeated. She nodded confidently. Because once they hear my report, you're done. You'll be fined, removed, and probably charged. I let out a slow breath, the kind that makes people uneasy without knowing why. You're really sure about that, huh? I don't need to be sure, she snapped. People believe me. That's enough. But something shifted in her expression when she saw I wasn't scared. She expected yelling, anger, panic. She got none of that because she didn't know the truth. She didn't know that the uniform she was hoping for, the badge she wished would show up, belonged to me. A distant siren echoed from the road. Her smile returned instantly. Perfect timing, she whispered. Let's get you arrested. A black SUV turned the corner and rolled toward us. Not police lights, no decals. Just a government vehicle with tinted windows and a strong engine. She frowned. That's not the patrol car I asked for. I stepped forward as the SUV stopped. The door opened quietly, and the man inside nodded at me with familiarity that made her freeze. Sheriff, he said. You settling in all right? Her mouth fell open. She looked at him, then at me, then at the badge on his belt, then back at me. No, she whispered. He's not, this has to be a mistake. I walked right up to her. You said I'd be arrested? I said softly. So let's find out who actually gets arrested today. She shook her head, stepping back. This isn't fair. You didn't tell me who you were! And you didn't ask, I replied. The deputy stepped between us. Ma'am, we received a complaint from this address. Impersonation of an HOA officer, trespassing, harassment, and attempted vehicle seizure. Does that sound familiar? Her lips trembled. I didn't. I was just protecting the neighborhood. I leaned closer, slow and steady. You picked the wrong shoreline. And for the first time, she looked genuinely scared. She kept shaking her head like reality was slipping out of her hands. The deputy asked her to stay where she was, but she suddenly turned and ran toward her porch, yelling, I have rights. I have authority. You can't do this to me. I didn't move. I knew how this usually ended. The deputy followed her, calm but firm. Ma'am, stop. You're making this worse. She grabbed that fake HOA binder she used to bully everyone and held it up like it was a shield. This proves everything. He opened it. Blank pages. All of it. Just empty sheets in a fancy folder. Her voice cracked. It was supposed to be real. People listen to me. I run things here. You don't run anything, the deputy said. And this folder alone is impersonation. She broke. Right there on her porch. All that confidence. Gone like smoke. I was just trying to keep order, she whispered. You created chaos, I said. And you tried to rewrite the law to fit your temper. The deputy gently took her by the arm. Ma'am, you're being detained for impersonation of an officer, filing a false report and attempted property interference. She didn't fight. She couldn't. As he guided her to the SUV, she looked at me one last time, eyes wide and lost. You're the sheriff, she whispered. You should have told me. I don't need to announce who I am, I said. I just protect what's mine. The door closed and the SUV rolled away. Her megaphone sat abandoned in the grass, still buzzing faintly from the last thing she shouted. The lake was quiet again. My lake, my shoreline. The land I bought long before I moved in, because peace is priceless when you've spent years fighting for it. I walked to the water's edge, letting the cool air settle everything inside me. People think justice is loud, but sometimes justice is just the truth finally catching someone who's been running from it. I looked over the calm lake, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Safe, grounded, and home. I didn't fight for this country, I murmured. To be told I can't step on my own land. And for the first time since moving in, the shoreline felt exactly the way it should. Mine.